This is the Christmas Movie Screenwriter Podcast, episode number 27. Hello and welcome to the Christmas Movie Screenwriter Podcast. I'm your host, Karen McCann. The Christmas Movie Screenwriter is a podcast about writing, producing, and selling Christmas movies. You can find a transcript, show notes, and an action checklist on my website. Just go to christmasmoviescreenwriter.com and look for this episode, which is number 27. A quick few words about what I'm working on. I got notes back from a couple readers on my Christmas script, and the feedback was very helpful. I'm going to start contacting producers next week, so wish me luck. And now, here is the main segment. Candice Cain is the founder and owner of Gemelli Films, as well as the writer and director of 20 feature films, 3 television series, and 1 short-form special series. A very unique quality one will find in Candice's writing style is that she is not married to any specific genre. Her first film, What Happened Last Night, is a college comedy, but other films include a romantic comedy, Days Like This, a holiday drama, Christmas for Three, and an action thriller, Seventh Inning Stretch, among others. For her holiday films, Candice uses her nickname Candy Cain. Candice attributes her diverse writing style to her dramatic literature degree at the George Washington University in Washington, D.C., BA 98, as well as the fact that she has lived in 12 different states and 36 different cities. She has traveled quite a bit and pulls her stories from her personal experiences. Well, Candice, thank you for coming on the Christmas Movie Screenwriter Podcast today.
And thank you very much for having me.
Now, can you share your journey of breaking into the industry as a Christmas movie screenwriter?
So breaking into the industry, I got to tell you, I was very reluctant because I was never Candy Cain. I married my husband, whose last name is Cain. I didn't know his last name was Cain until he gave me a dozen roses. And
Oh, how sweet.
so I nobody called me Candy. I've always gone by Candice. My mother hated me being called Candy. I was called Candy by a few people in college, but I
Okay.
I don't really like being called Candy. And
Okay.
I went to something called MIPCOM, which is this big marketing event. And it was me and my partner Amy Minter, and we went and we met this woman named Anna from Real One Entertainment. And we were shopping around What Happened Last Night and my television series New Dogs Old Tricks. And she looked at me and she's like, "Your name is Candice Cain. Candy Cain.
Yeah,
You
right.
have to do Christmas movies." And I'm like, "Oh,
Right.
I don't, and then 6 months later, an actor that I knew came up to me and said, "Listen, if I give you an investment, will you give me a vehicle to be in, to
Right.
get my reel going?" And I said, "Well, how about a Christmas movie?" And he said, "Yeah, sure, absolutely." And then I wrote Ivy and Mistletoe, and it just went from there. And as soon as I did Ivy and Mistletoe, everybody, that was April of 2019. I mean,
Oh,
people
wow.
wanted me to do movies. Yeah. So since April of 2019, I've done 20 films. 15 of those films are Christmas movies. And
Wow.
that's how it all started.
And then you writing all of those.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, you are prodigious. Okay. So how do you balance meeting audience expectations while staying fresh and not predictable or cliche?
So the predictable and cliche bit is something that Christmas movie watchers really enjoy. They find comfort in it. They want to know that there's going to be a happy ending.
Right.
So you're always going to have that happy ending in a Christmas movie. It's just the twists and turns along the way that get you there. So the way that I keep things fresh is by adding little bits here and there. And a lot, I love comedy, and just adding comedy and just things that you would not expect that get you to that happy ending.
Oh, that's great. Now, when you finish a script and it's ready to go out, what's your next step and how do you move it towards going into production? Or are you, uh, you're so well known for getting things done and getting distribution. Is that your secret weapon? You sort of have, you're being commissioned by these distributors, or tell me how you move it towards production.
So I'm very fortunate because every single, knock on wood, one of my titles has received international distribution. And I have private investors that come to me that want me to make movies for them. We've been commissioned by a couple of companies and then they handle distribution. But I'm currently working with the new executive producer, Pam Steenland, who I adore. And she's like, all right, what are we going to make? What's your idea? What do you have? And I pitch things to her
Okay.
and she's like, yeah, let's do that. Let's do that one. No, I don't want to do that one. And so forth. So right now I'm working on a script. It's almost done. I'm on page like 98.
Okay.
Um, called Mocha and Mistletoe.
Oh, that
And
sounds good.
we so not related to Ivy and Mistletoe,
Okay.
but this is something that I came up with Eric Martinez of Java Groove Cafe. He's
Oh,
Java Dad on TikTok. And we came up with this whole thing back and forth just through social media. And
wow.
we're it's I'm known as Mom the Villain on TikTok, and he's Java Dad Life, and it's a long story, but we ended up coming up with this story, and we go in a month to shoot. And Pam is behind it, and I know that I'll get distribution. I know that I'll get distribution because I know the quality. Like, I know what people want. I've got great relationships with a ton of networks and platforms, and
Wow.
I know that all I have to do is show them the trailer or give them a script and be like, hey, we're making this movie. We make it, they buy it, and it gets distributed.
But you need financing to make that trailer.
That's where, well, I mean, that the trailer comes in. We work with Angelo Teodoro, who is my DIT guy, and he cuts the trailers as we're filming.
But you would need the financing before you get that distribution.
Well,
Or
right, to make the movie, I already have it.
okay.
So I'm very fortunate because I have people, private investors that believe in me and believe in Gemelli and
Wow.
our titles, and they give me the funding.
Wow. That, but what was your first project like? Were they all private investors from the beginning? And how did
Yes.
you attract, you just knew people?
Yes.
Wow, that is really amazing. And that is great. And that is great. Just curious about this Java story. Did you think of this idea and try to find an influencer, or you
No.
found the influencer and the idea came to you?
None of the above. He found me. And you
Good.
could actually you can go online on TikTok and look up Java Dad Life. He put something out and it was like day one of trying to get Hallmark to do a Christmas movie in my hometown. And one of my fans tagged me in it. And then I responded to him saying, hey, Eric, why do you need Hallmark? Why don't you just use Candy Cane? And it
Yeah.
grew from there. And he and I became friends. He
Yes.
came out and I gave him a role in my movie, The Wedding Bell, and it's just grown like over the past year. And now we start shooting on December 2nd in
Wow.
Evergreen, Colorado.
Holy cow.
Town's behind it, his cafe is behind it. We have
Wow.
media. It's really cool. It's a lot of fun.
Is this something you might pursue? Go on TikTok and find influencers because those could be like a typical financier. I mean, not typical, an
Listen,
atypical.
I am so happy with Pam and working with Pam.
Okay.
Like if I could, no, honestly, Pam, I I love her.
Okay.
She is so spunky. She's a lot of fun, and she really has faith in me and she really believes in me, and we have very much the same values, the same core
Okay.
values of like wholesome and
Okay. Great.
wanting to spread a strong message.
Okay.
And like I love her. I also work, I mean, I don't want to drop the names of my,
Yeah. Yeah.
executive producers or
Yeah.
investors or anything,
Yeah. Of
but
course.
I have people that work with me because, with my first movie, I had been working, it was in front of the camera for a long time, and then I got behind the camera, and I got tired of waiting for permission from somebody
Right.
else to do what I
Right.
wanted to do. So I
Right.
figured out a way to get it done.
Well, speaking of waiting for permission, how would you suggest screenwriters expand their network of producers, like networking, film markets? If so, which ones, competitions, or perhaps online platforms?
Coverfly is great. Ink Tip. I highly recommend Ink Tip. There's a free subscription and then like a year. I don't know how much it is, but I highly recommend those. I will tell you the worst possible thing you can do is unsolicited, send your script, send your log lines, send your plot lines, send all that stuff. I can't tell you how many of those I get. People don't do their research, and it's so frustrating. And if like people could steal your ideas,
Yeah,
you're just
right.
like unsolicited sending stuff to people, and it's don't do that. Don't do that. And a lot of people are like, oh my God, I need an agent, I need a manager. Listen, I am 25 titles into this. My television series, Welcome to Hope, had 2 seasons. I've won Telly Awards. I don't have an agent. I've never had a writing agent. Trust me, I've tried.
Okay.
Never had an
Wow.
agent, never had a writer. Do it yourself. Just do it yourself. If I can do it, I'm a mom of twins. I'm married to a cop. I figured this out myself. I never went to film school. Just figure it
Okay.
out. Like, just there's no reason that you can't come up with a plan. Find like-minded individuals to work with. Stop waiting for somebody else to say to you, "Hey, I want to do your script. I'm going to give you money." I just had a conversation at MIPCOM with a gentleman, I believe his name was Justin, who had this incredible script, but it was all like VFX and like it
Right.
was like Marvel meets Lord of the Rings, and it was just the pitch deck was gorgeous, and he'd never made a movie before. Never produced nothing. And I said, "I appreciate like your ambition, but sometimes you got to start small and work your way up, and there's nothing wrong with that."
Well, when you say small, do you mean like a short film or what do you mean?
I mean, short films, sure. Like my first film that we did was called Unspoken, and it was for the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge. I
Okay.
spent $68 total because I got pizza for everybody. And we shot it on iPhones, and it was great.
Wow.
And I started networking that way. But yeah, I mean, don't come with like a $300 million budget film and be like, this is my film. This is what we're going to
Right,
do.
right.
No, you're not, because
Right,
you
right,
don't
right.
have a track record, and
Right.
you need to stay humble. Um, and if you want to learn how to produce, get on a film set, volunteer, be a PA, go
Right.
on to Mandy.com, see who's hiring, and learn. I've learned literally every single job on crew. I don't
Wow.
like every single job,
Okay.
but I started doing every single job so that if something happens, I could jump in and help. Like we just shot Heavy Hitters, and there was something that happened. It's called a silk. It's a big screen, and the silk started falling over, and I was right next to it, and I grabbed the silk, and the gaffer was like up on top of the dugout, and I'm like, I got it, gaff, and I helped move the silk because I know how to manipulate those things. I know how to work those things. I worked in the lighting department on
Wow.
other
Wow.
films, short
Wow.
films, TV shows,
Wow.
low budget films. Learn. And if you're on there as a PA, you never know who you talk to during lunch,
Right.
so put yourself out there and learn.
That's great advice. One thing I want to go back on what you mentioned is that, the writers who are sending out unsolicited queries, you did say Coverfly and Inktip. Do you think just sending out queries is a bad idea for writers?
I delete them.
Okay. Well,
Honestly,
that's great. That's great to hear.
they come to me and it says, "I have a script, delete." I don't even read the email because I don't want to be in a position where I'm going to
Right.
get accused of
Right.
stealing somebody's stuff.
Right.
So
Right.
I just delete it. I mean, on sites like Coverfly, I think Stage 32 is one. On things like that, they have calls for scripts.
Right.
But I mean, I've never sent emails out to producers to be like, "Oh, hey, can you read my script?" I mean, I've got people sending me scripts for sci-fi. My company's never done a sci-fi. If you're going to send scripts to a company or log lines or queries, make sure that it's the genre of your script.
Right. Right.
Like,
Right.
so yeah.
Okay. Now you mentioned NIPCOM. Do you attend other film markets? And when you're going there, are you pitching your projects? And do you or tell me about do you do other markets?
I don't pitch because I don't need money. Um, I I sell my projects there. We sometimes screen them. I do MIPCOM, and MIP TV, but they're not doing MIP TV anymore. So we're gonna try MIP London in February. I like the MIP markets. I like working with Reed Midham. I think it's very well run. I love our booth. I know the same people. And when you consistently go to the market, you develop relationships. So I
Right,
was able
right.
to see, like, I had lunch with Dana Weber from Legacy, and they have a couple of my films. I saw Lara from SP Releasing. I saw Anna from Real Ones. Like, you develop these relationships and you find out certain things, and then they introduce you to people.
Oh,
So,
good.
I really enjoyed going to those, but I don't go for the pitch aspect. I go for the sales aspect. We have 25 titles that we're selling.
Okay.
So, it's worth it for me. We don't I went to the AFM once. They moved that from Los Angeles to Las Vegas. I haven't been to it. I went to NatB once. I haven't, or twice. I haven't been back to it since it was taken over by, I think it's C21 is the new company.
Okay.
I've been to the Marché du Film, which I love, at the Cannes Film Festival, but it's 10 days long.
Oof,
So, um,
wow. 10
we were
days.
talking about it this last time because we were just in France last week. So, for MIPCOM, so we might do the Marché du Film, but we're gonna have to split into two teams of five.
Okay. The do you recommend that writers attend MIPCOM or no?
Um, I haven't attended as a writer. Um, I know that they do have programs, so I'm really not familiar with that. I would say look into the programs that are available. I do know going to something like Sundance is a good idea because they have the writing incubator. I've never participated in it, but I do know people that have done. Um, I think they have something similar for Austin, the South
Oh,
by
right, right,
Southwest,
right, right, right.
and the other one, Sundance, South by, and then what's the one in there's another one, big film festival in the
Toronto.
US.
Oh,
No, it's in the US. I can't think of it.
yeah, yeah,
But
got it.
yeah, but those the really big well-known film festivals, they have um opportunities for writers. So going to things like that might be better because I'm just not familiar with
Right, right,
what the sales markets have to offer.
right,
So I'm not talking against it. I just can't speak
right,
for it because I'm not
right.
familiar with it and I don't want to lead anybody down the wrong path.
Okay. So what advice would you give to your younger self?
I actually wrote my first script when I was 9.
Ah, did you
Um,
really?
I
Go ahead.
did. I did. It was called A Journey to Chocolate Land.
I love it.
And, I mean, honestly, all I would tell my younger self is just keep going.
Okay.
I'm very blessed. My mother is very, very supportive of me. She always has been since I was a child with my writing and my notebooks and everything that I do. I'm like looking around to see if I have any notebooks because I carry notebooks with me all the time. Just like pull them up and be like, oh, this is where I write. But you know, she was just always supportive of my creativity and my writing. And my grandfather and my grandmother, they were always like, you're a writer, you're always a writer. And just I'm just I mean, I'm just happy with the path that I've taken. If I'm giving advice to young writers, don't give up. Just believe in
Right.
yourself, and just keep going.
And is there a particular genre that you would recommend writers start out with, or any genre?
Whatever they're comfortable with. I was in a situation where I went to a workshop and I'm known for Christmas movies. I mean, my name's Candy Cane.
Right, right.
I'm known for Christmas movies. And I asked a question. It was during COVID. And there was like there was like about 250 people in this big meeting. And they called on me to ask my question. And I said, well, I write multiple genres. And I really want to get an agent. And they're like, oh, yeah, you shouldn't write multiple genres. And I was like, well, why
Yeah,
not?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they're like, well, because you won't be as good. And so I took on a pen name and I
Okay.
I actually took on a man's name.
Oh,
And
okay. Interesting.
and, and those films have done incredibly well and the series have done incredibly well. And it's like, listen,
Interesting.
I don't want to change the game. I just want to be able to play it.
Right.
So if I have to change my name, then I'll change my name. So
Okay.
write what you're comfortable with. If you
Yeah,
want to write horror, write horror. If you want to write Christmas, write Christmas. Just write what you feel. Because if you believe in yourself and if you believe in your writing, it'll translate to the page.
exactly.
So I'm not saying, this is what you have to write.
Right.
If you're happy or content, satisfied writing whatever genre it is, then that's the genre you should write.
And do you think, before we wrap up with your social media details, do you think the Christmas TV movie market is contracting, is expanding? What do you think?
It's always expanding. And what I like about it is that it's, they're always looking for new titles, but they constantly play the old titles too.
Right, right. Yeah, good, good. Well, that is good to hear. That's encouraging. And to wrap up, would you like to share any social media details or website links so our audience can keep track of your work?
Sure. On Insta, it's Gemelli Films, Gemelli Films. Same thing on Facebook, Gemelli Films. On TikTok, I'm Mom the Villain. And my personal on Insta and on Twitter is Candice T. Cain. It's Candice with an I. Cain is Cain.
Okay.
And Candy period Cain on Facebook.
Excellent. Well, Candice, thank you so much for coming on the Christmas Movie Screenwriter Podcast. I found
My
this
pleasure.
very informative and very encouraging and very straightforward. So thank you again.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And now for my action checklist. I have 5 items for your action checklist from my interview with Candice. Number 1, network smart, start small. Candice emphasized learning multiple roles on set. She suggests starting with short films or volunteering as a PA to build connections and gain experience. Number 2, very controversial. She says avoid unsolicited queries. Candice advised against unsolicited submissions as they can be risky for both writers and companies. Instead, find companies that align with your genre and submit thoughtfully. More on that at the end of the list. Number 3, film markets and opportunities. If you go to a market, target those that have a writing program, such as Austin, Sundance, or South by Southwest. You can also try getting meetings at sales-focused film markets like MIPCOM and AFM. Just realize that they are focused on sales, and you probably won't get meetings until the end of the market. And number 4, believe in your work. Perseverance is key. Candice shared her early start in writing and stressed the importance of writing in genres you connect with to bring authenticity to your work. And number 5, I was very happy to hear her say the Christmas TV market insights. Candice believes that the Christmas TV market is continually expanding and making it an opportune genre for writers. Now, the title of my podcast is cold querying producers worth it? It's not a clear yes or no. Candice Cain points out that unsolicited queries can be risky, and the risk often falls on the writer. Sending a cold pitch might expose you to the chance of having your idea used by someone else. Her advice is to submit only to companies that align with her genre and interests. But let's be real, sometimes a cold query is your way in, especially if you can't get on set or be on set as a PA or volunteer. So while there's a risk, there's also a potential reward. It's all about doing your homework and deciding what's worth it for you. Have you ever tried cold querying a producer, and what was your experience? Did it open doors? Did it feel like a risk? Share your thoughts or any tips you found helpful. I'd love to hear how your approach pitching on whether cold queries has worked for you. You can leave a message on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/the Christmas Movie Screenwriter, or on my website, christmasmoviescreenwriter.com, and look for this episode, which is number 27. Well, that's the show. Thank you for listening. To show your support, please give us a 5-star rating on Apple or wherever you get your podcasts. If you want more great content by buying me a hot cocoa on Buy Me a Coffee, just look for the page Christmas Movie and explore other inspiring podcasts and blogs on our website at christmasmoviescreenwriter.com. I'm your host, Karen McCann. Thanks for listening. And I'll see you on the next Christmas Movie Screenwriter podcast. Bye.